platforms for young scientists like you. So that's the reason why you also attended a special forum yesterday. And this morning, I know that you too both attended the hub, which is designed to have the interaction with young science enthusiasts of the city here. So share us with more about your research these years. Yes.
Yeah, my research centers at the intersection of women's health and respiratory health. So basically, I use a combination of different tools from epidemiology to animal models to study how anything that is in the environment gets through the lungs and how the body responds to these exposures. So particularly what I was talking about today to the young audience was about the dangers of vaping and how vaping exposures cause damage in the lung, and how we study this in the lab from looking at population work, where we center our attention in how people choose to vape and why do they vape and who vapes and what happens to them when they vape long term. And also how in the lab we can model these exposures where we get to vape animals or where we get to vape, for example, towels that then they put next to animals, and we look at the second-hand and third-hand exposures to these chemicals.
Just a quick questions for our audiences. Many people believe that vaping could be even not that serious or even bring the lighter damages to their lung than what we know about the cigarette. Is it lighter or even serious?
What we know right now.
Do you have a certain answer?
Yeah, it's, we are not ready to give a definite answer, but what we know so far is not good news. What we thought was going to be help to quit smoking is not necessarily 100% safe. So if I have to compare between smoking and vaping, I cannot give a definite answer which one's going to be more dangerous, unfortunately. And we used to believe that vaping was going to be less dangerous. One of the problems with vaping is that the fluids that people vape, they get tested before they get into the vaping machine. And the vaping device will hit these liquids, and the chemicals will get converted to new chemicals that now we're finding are damaging and can cause cancerous processes. So we have to understand what goes on when these chemicals get into the lungs, how the body responds to them, so that we can better inform the people who are using these vapes and also the people who care for the people who get sick from these vapes.
Okay, thanks. So now let's go to Professor Ho. We have seen that the board displaying your research about what we know about the liquid gating, right?
Yeah, liquid gating technology.
Please correct me. Please share with us more about your research and your what your team has done these years.
Okay, so our research is also inspired by lung. So by the lung pores. So the lung pores is in the micropores covered with liquid. So you can imagine that if the liquid can be as a structure materials, they can have structure. They were very different from the solid part. I mean, when we mention the door or the gate, always the metal, wood, something like that, is also very solid. Now, if the liquid was as a door, which were very different properties. So inspired by the lung, because the lung is just like a pore structure and covered with the liquid. When you use the pressure, and the liquid will be open and closed. And that will be dynamically in the micro scale. So which we use this technology to do some air purification and chemical detection. Yeah, that's what we are doing right now. Yeah.
So your research field sounds to me like you're dealing with the problems and you're dealing with the solutions maybe. So it is a problem-solution discussion, but at the same time, today we have set the theme for our audiences at air pollutions. So could we have any idea about, if your research could be related to air pollution? If you have any thoughts about that, please just,
Yeah, as I said, I don't only study vapes,
Sure.
I study anything we breathe, and my interest in this field started looking at air pollution. One of the things that my lab concentrates on is how the male and the female body respond to the same air pollutant, how much we are exposed to different pollutants, and what happens physiologically, meaning what is the response of our body to these pollutants. And for the longest part, the attention was not put on the sex of the individual. And more, when we look close and when we look at the mechanisms, we are finding out that not only it matters the sex of the person in terms of what effects are going to happen, but also at what age. If it is before or after puberty, there are differences in the effects. Long term, how long, and also there are things that are related to being male or female, but not necessarily biological. So there are gender aspects, which have to do with whether you are a female in a certain country, you're going to be more exposed to a cooking stove, because that is a gender role, to be cooking every day and be inhaling particles. Whereas if you are a male in certain parts of the world, you may be working in a mine or in a place where there are other types of fumes that are going to expose you more often. So pollution in general, we care about how we regulate the emissions, and that information, those regulations come from the information we provide from the studies we do. And if the studies don't consider the males and females, then we are probably not giving them accurate information. So part of the consequences of us focusing on this part of the research is that we get to inform policy and we get to give more accurate recommendations to policymakers.
Okay. So I have a question here because I'm based in Beijing, and Beijing actually had the air pollution issues a year ago, but now the government has been doing good. The air quality has been improved over the past years. But at the same time, we had the COVID, because we have some friends here live in Beijing. They had the feeling that maybe years before, they would have the symptoms of coughing or something like that, the primary stage of the reaction to the air pollution. But now we had the COVID. Sometimes they had the cough. They cough at the same time. So sometimes they cannot tell, because if they feel this is caused by air pollution, because the air quality is still the problem here. Sometimes when it comes to winter in Beijing, we still have this kind of issues because it's not removed at all. But you know, we also have the respiratory conditions. For example, like long COVID or whatever. So for these vulnerable groups, do you have any advice for them to deal with these issues?
Yeah, so when we're exposed to air pollution, we cannot think of it as being all responding the same way. As you said, there are people who are going to have higher susceptibility because of a pre-existing condition, for example, long COVID. We know about long COVID that it affects more women than men. We don't know much about the mechanisms, but they're very similar to those that happen during other infections and asthma, which, by the way, is a disease that affects more women than men. So the advice is to identify what is the trigger, what is the challenge. It could be a pollutant, it could be cold, it could be your diet. So if people have the information, they can make better decisions for their day-to-day quality of life. And also talk to your doctors, because that is where the information that we as scientists get when we design our experiments to make the best possible way to approach the issue. And if the patient doesn't provide that information, that may happen like on a day-to-day basis, but not the day that you visit your doctor, then we probably are missing important keys.
Okay. So talking about identification, I know that your research has opened a gate to help. I don't know if the technology or industries could, in the future, develop a universal products to try to identify these contaminated air or something. Could you please share with us about how this kind of research could be applied further to I would say that to reduce the damages of the air pollution to the population here? Actually,
we are working on this one. And now I think the challenging for us to develop the new technology is based on the cost. Because the previous system, if you do the air purification, you use the solid membrane. And the solid membrane will absorb the dust and also the polluted air.
For me, I changed that 2 years.
Otherwise, you need to wash it, use water or something like that. And at least you need to open it and then to do the replace. Now we just want to use the liquid cleaning technology to, now without any other waste materials, all this happen in liquid. Because we know that if we have a solid surface, when something attached to the surface, with the time goes on, and there will be cover all of this. But if we have a liquid, when something attached to the liquid. They were inside the liquid, and to still make the surface clean. And then you can say they can continue, and then you can connect the liquid, and to get this dust. And all this system is dynamically, because liquid is always dynamically. So we hope that there will be low waste, and all is clean automatically. And then also the liquid can be designed to specifically target the virus or something specific.
I have a question.
Or something.
Yeah, I have a question because you're talking about liquid. I think some of the audiences are wondering what kind of specific liquid would be, I don't know, if it is stable or useful, because in northern part of China, in the winter, the air is very dry. The humidity is getting worse. So, and the manufacturers or companies would advise us to choose the products to create the humid with purified water, not the tapping water. What's the difference here?
I think if we use this technology,
I mean, what kind of liquid is qualified to be applied to these machines or any of these kind of products?
I think the water is okay. Water-based system is okay.
Okay.
Because this is more convenient for people to use this in daily life.
Yes.
Otherwise, if we have specific function liquid,
the cost is
they cost a lot.
Yes.
So this is very challenging to replace current system.
Yeah.
So we try to design specific water-based liquid and to make their the cost.
What kind of water? Because I mean, purified water is
it's not purified water. They were designed some ions, some moleculars to achieve some specific functions. Still depend on which application you want to use, because sometimes you want to adjust the humidity. You need more pure water, and sometimes you don't, because it depends on the areas which you want to use this technology for. This is very different compared to space by space. But I think the general idea is now we can just use a very no price water materials to replace the previous solid parts, solid materials, solid membrane materials. So this is our target. We are working on this. There's still some challenging. How can we balance all of this, the cost, the function, and the safety?
Yeah. So when you share with the foreign experts here at the forum, what reaction from them, or do they have any similar ideas about that?
You mean
about your research, about your discovery?
My research for which person?
I mean, how would those professional peers react to your chemical research or reaction discoveries?
You mean my discovery?
The liquid gating theory.
Okay. I think the liquid gating theory is not just for the one of our applications is for air purification, and there also have other potential application, or we are working on some new application. For example, for the chemical detection. You can imagine for the traditional system, if you want to do the chemical detection, sometimes you need the light resources to get the signal or use the electricity. Now all these things happen in the liquid. So you can design the liquid. And the liquid, if you add some things, you want to target moleculars. And then you can change the liquid as a door, the open-close properties. So you can directly to observe the liquid open and close to distinguish which material or which moleculars you are attached. So they give the many ideas to play with the liquid, play with this dynamic system, and to do many potential applications. I think this is, I think, how to say, I mean, now all this is dynamic. This is a soft interface. It's not a hard interface. So soft interface makes some different, just like our human. Our biology system is always dynamic. So I think this learning from nature takes the idea from nature.
Okay. So the last one, sorry, for the consumers, there will be two questions: when and how much? If this technology could be, applied to manufacturing, and then because mostly we'd use like $10 around $10 to buy a purifier, but when could it be?
You mean the membrane? Because
No,
if you have
I mean,
machines.
this research goes to the production line, and then one day it becomes a kind of product. When could it be, or how much could it be? It is more expensive, or you think?
I think it will be within 5 years. There will be real products. I'm confident about this, and the price I think is compatible to the current instrument or current devices. And they still need many commercial guys to help us too, because we are scientists. So I think this is not very just like to science.
Yeah, I think science. I think you would agree. Science would help solve these human issues and try to cut the price or lower the.
This is technical issues. This is some engineering to help us to reduce the price and then to make this.
Okay. So let's come to the second part about the forum. You've been for many times coming to visit. You have old friends, and now you have new friends. Yes. I think for this time you met each other. And share with us a bit more about this year's impression, Patricia.
I had a really good time this past few days, reconnecting with people I met before, but also meeting new people and just seeing how there are ways in which our research could be compatible and complementary. Like there are topics that I listened here that I would have never encountered in my own field, in the country where I live. So this forum is very well thought in terms of how it connects people through like these common themes, being from very different disciplines. And it's amazing how the level of conversations I had with people that I thought I had nothing in common, but like after 5 minutes, I'm thinking of ways we can collaborate.
Yeah, because I think you also came to the event last year, right?
I came in person last year, but I also came virtually 2 years in a row prior to that.
Because the venue that we are now at is just specifically designed for this forum. I think this is a huge and beautiful. But what about the topics that you've attended? Any interesting point that you wanted to share with us?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the setups that we had to discuss mostly. But yeah, the topics about AI are super relevant to all of us. Yes. And just to see them apply to healthcare, engineering, and just thinking about the future and how we can solve bigger problems and integrate it in what we're doing. Coming from higher education, all the conversations I'm having about AI right now with other administrators are how can we protect our system from the students using it in a way that is going to impair their learning, or even just when we write grants or when we review things. So it has like a negative connotation in a way in the conversations I was having. And then I came here and I learned of good things that are moving ahead and who are the movers or shakers in this field. And it gave me a different perspective and more hope to be able to use it, even though I'm not a computational person.
Is AI technology facilitate your research? Because we know that for this year, 2024 Nobel Chemistry Laureates, I think the team has applied AI to their genetic research. Is AI helping you any in your research?
Yeah, I think the current AI will benefit many research field, research direction. Because for our part, we are focused on the advanced materials. So AI can help us to, through the machine learning, they can reduce much efforts of the experiment. Because now they can help you to guide you to design the different parameters to do the experiment, to reduce the time, reduce the cost. So I think the AI can very accelerate our research speed. Yeah. And also, they can work 24 hours, different from the human being. Yeah.
So last one, because at this forum, we have discussed a lot of about AI, but when it comes to climate change, from your perspective, what can AI, artificial intelligence technologies, could be applied to at least step up our efforts to agree on something or try to, from the scientific perspective, to advise our policymakers to do more about climate change issues?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, the information that the policymakers have is the one we provide from our collective work at the experimental level, the epidemiological level. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that research cannot be accelerated unless we have tools that allow us to integrate more and more data. We collect a lot of data, and the issue became how we integrate, how we interpret, how we put it collectively to answer questions or provide recommendations. More and more, we are seeing researchers, at least in my field, that deals with how environment affects the health, not just the lung, but any other part of the body. And now having that ability to process data in a faster way, in a more organized way, is accelerating how we make conclusions that we then provide to the people who make decisions. So I think that is one application that I can see in the short term that hopefully will help. The other thing I can think, the other way I can think that this is going to help is how we communicate science. I think people make decisions and they call their representatives, and they are going to have a better impact if they understand what's going on. For a very long time, scientists and the public have had a difficult conversation, and I think AI can help break those barriers because it's something that is more available to all of us. Sure. So I think in a way it can become a common language or a common platform for us to have conversations that hopefully will lead to better decisions that are going to benefit everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I think the AI can very efficiently to predict many situations and give us a lot of options, and they maybe can already to give them optimized selections. I think they will accelerate the policy to make. I mean, to make these policies, and then will help our society. I think.
Yeah, actually, I attended several forums where I heard that some of the experts would, would feel cautious about AI, but obviously, I think from your research or from your experiences, AI is really helping your research, and I hope that as the discussion goes, we could find AI more important in our work, and I think. Even it is artificial intelligence, I think we really cherish this opportunity that we can be person and talk, and we have more friends coming from different corners of the world, and people can, as you said, we can have a more constructive conversations, and we can build on this kind of cooperation mode, and that could really benefit your research and the science and humankind. Yeah. So that will do for our live streaming here at the Lianggang Center in Shanghai for this year's WLA Forum. Also, actually, thanks to Patricia from Indiana University and Professor He from Xiamen University. Thanks for your watching. See you next time.